What's up, guys? Welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. Let's get into it. So the Cowboys get a 44 to 22 win over the Washington Commanders today. So who saw this coming? Because before the game, I told you I was like, "Yo, I expect it to be a shootout. I expect it to be high scoring. These are the type of problems the Commanders can, propose, and the Cowboys are going to be able to move the ball at will on this side, and it'll just be if the defense uh, decides to come to the party and make some stops." And then one of the things I said specifically, I was like, the only thing that would surprise me is if the Commanders won 40 to 22 or the Cowboys won 40 to 22. And here we go. The Cowboys won 44 to 22. Did not expect that outcome. Now, to be fair, the Commanders were missing a crap load of pieces. And so they were missing their three top receivers, right? And their offensive line was intact, but it was the first time that they had a very good guard that they had missed from last season who, ended up tearing his ACL. He just played today for the first time. So there's also that factor. And then the other factor, Dorrance Armstrong went out very early with a leg injury, never returned. And then Jaden Daniels went out in the third quarter, and he was having a pretty good game. Not saying that the game was pretty much already out of hand. I mean, when Jaden Daniels went out, I believe the score was 30 to 15, maybe 34-15. Like it was already pretty much out of whack. So I'm not saying Jaden Daniels going out. It was 15 to 17, and then Jaden Daniels went out, and the Cowboys took off. No, the Cowboys were already put in BTA before Jaden Daniels went out. But him going out doesn't help the Commanders at all because, as we always know, it's a 60-minute game. So it would have been very interesting to see over the course of that 60 minutes if Jaden Daniels could have rallied his team. But honestly, he would have had to have a Superman effort with the way the Cowboys defense and offense was playing today. I mean, the Commanders would have had to score basically 45 points to win the game. And I don't know if the way the game was going today, even with Jaden Daniels, that they would have been able to score 45 points. And I will take it a step further. I don't know if the Commanders, if they had Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuels and those guys, would they have been able to still score 45 points to win the game with the way the Cowboys offenses were playing? But maybe it would have been, 44 to 34, if the Commanders have their full complement of weapons to start the game. So I think the Cowboys were pretty much set and determined to win this game today. Very interesting. Sets up a very interesting matchup next week with them going against the Denver Broncos and a nice comeback win that the Broncos had over the Giants this week. I'm glad the Broncos won that game just simply because of the desperate team theory that a lot of people subscribe to. And if for some reason the Broncos would have found a way to lose that game, they would have been coming screaming at the Cowboys next week. I believe that game is on the road. The Cowboys have some work to do to impress a motherfucker like me because they haven't won in Denver since 1995. So let's see if the Cowboys can do something they haven't done in 3 decades. I mean, we already are trying to see if the Cowboys can do things that they haven't done in 3 decades. But I guess as a regular season milestone, this is a good one to start with and show us that the team is different, because right now we can't keep going through the I lose to the Eagles, and now we beat the Giants, and now we lose to the Bears, and now we tie with the Packers, and now, we beat the Jets, but then we lose to the Panthers. Now we beat the Commanders. Sounds like an 8-1 team just staring you in the face, right? So if the Cowboys are going to be different than what people are used to calling them, which is mediocre, we need to see something different over a sustained period of time, as opposed to week to week, we show up to play, we don't show up to play. We show up to play, we don't show up to play. I'm not taking anything away from the win. The Cowboys, this is a very good win. I love it. I'm happy tonight. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad the Cowboys played well. But it doesn't really mean much if the Cowboys turn around and play like ass next week against the Broncos. And I'm not saying that in terms of, hey, the Broncos are some sorry ass team that the Cowboys should just, go up there and run it up on them. That's not what it is. The Broncos are a good team. They have a very good defense. They have a solid offense. They have a very good head coach. So I'm not saying that all of a sudden the Cowboys just should go up to the Broncos and treat them the same way that they treated the Commanders this week. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is if the Cowboys are going to do something different this season, if they're going to give the fans a reason to cheer, if they're going to give us a reason for hope that things are not the same that they've been the last 30 years, you have to string together wins. You have to string together consistent defensive performances. You have to find a way that maybe if your defense isn't at its best or your offense isn't at its best or your special teams isn't at its best, to still go out and learn how to pull out a win on Sunday, right? So as excited as I am about this win and as happy as I am and as much fun as I had cheering for the team during this time, it means very little if they go into Denver and get their ass kicked next week. It means very little if they go into Denver and lose on a last-second field goal. This stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I hate to be the cynical Cowboys fan. I do enjoy the ride every season. I am a football fan first and a Cowboys fan right after that. So I love watching all the football games. I'm watching Sunday Night Football tonight. I love watching all the other games. I watched Red Zone at 1 o'clock, checked in on all the teams, was kind of flicking around, see what team was having a better game, maybe concentrate a little bit closer on that. Like, I love football, and I love the Cowboys. The Cowboys are my squad. They're my team. But a win like this can be awesome if you build upon it. The problem with the Cowboys over these years is they've built either A, no hope, or B, false hope. Like our 12-5 Cowboys teams, right? They get a win like this, all of a sudden the Cowboys rattle off 4 or 5 in a row against inferior teams. Maybe they beat a legit team somewhere in there, and then, all of a sudden we're getting some hope, and then they get to the playoffs, and it's, what I'm saying? That's not what I want. I'm ready for the Cowboys to face this tough schedule, right? Because my mindset is if we're going to get where we need to go, we're going to have to exercise some demons along the way, right? We're going to have to do some of the things we haven't done over the past few years. We're going to have to play some of these tough teams, the Kansas Cities who won today, the Detroits who have a legit offense and a legit defense, Philadelphia, again, who also found a way to win today, New York, who is playing out of their mind with a new quarterback, even though they lost today. Denver, Commanders, again, when Jaden Daniels will be healthy for the entire game, and they'll probably have their full complement of receivers. There are games on the Cowboys schedule that are going to expose them if they're fraudulent and they don't figure out how to build on successful wins and plays throughout the course of the season. So I've been here long enough. I've seen long enough that the Cowboys have done stuff like this. They've been 3-3, maybe not a tie, but they've been 3-3. They've been 4-3, and then they've gone on a run. And now you look up and the Cowboys are 7-3, but you always feel fraudulent. You always feel like you're not really one of the better teams in the league. I want to see the Cowboys show the world they're one of the better teams in the league. And that starts defensively and then complementary offensively, and then not having one of the dimensions of your team let you down when another dimension of your team builds you up. And that starts with this game against the Broncos. Like I said, this win against the Commanders means nothing if they go out and they S the bed against the Broncos next week. But let's get some star up, star down. Star up to Dak Prescott, still continuing his MVP type play. Also star up to the receiver, core in general. Kevontae Turpin had a nice catch and spin where he got 17 yards. If he would have spun to the inside, he would have been lit up. But he spun to the outside and ended up being a big play in the game. Shout out to CeeDee Lamb. Those two guys run into each other. Shout out to George Pickens, that catch on the sideline. Like, beastly. Jake Ferguson getting into the end zone. Dak Prescott reading things. Javonte Williams having a good day on the ground. I mean, it was everything you could have hoped for offensively. And then also star up, want to shout out Donovan Ezaraku. He gets his first sack of his career. We've been waiting for it. He finally got it. Star up to the defensive line. They look to have really good like a cup protection. Like when they were rushing up the field against Jaden Daniels, there were a few times where he escaped and made some runs, but for the most part, they did a good job of kind of rushing the middle and rushing the outsides and kind of making him play parallel to the line of scrimmage, so he didn't have too many lanes where, okay, things are breaking down, but I have a lane here up the middle. I'm just going to take off and run. It happened a few times, but for the most part, they kind of made him play parallel to the line of scrimmage and kind of built a fence in front of him, forced him to throw it. He was a little bit off today, which has a lot to do with the timing of the receivers that are not your normal receivers out there trying to catch passes. All the Cowboys can do is play who's in front of them. So just a lot of good things from the Cowboys defense to start up to them. Start up to DaRon Bland, getting his hands on the ball and making everybody pay and taking it to the house. I love that. I love to see it. I love to see him, having the speed, the agility, the wherewithal, and the break on the football. He was in position because he played the proper technique that the defensive coordinator called. So the only way you make that interception is two ways. A, you gamble and you're right. Or B, you play proper technique, proper position, and you're in the right position to make the play. That situation, and we'll get the film, and I'll get to see it and see if I'm totally off. But just watching it live, it looked like he played proper technique. He was in a proper position, and he was able to break on the ball, make the play, and then take it to the house. And that's what you want to see. That gives the defense confidence. That gives the offense confidence that we know that, hey, no matter what happens here, our defense has our back. And same thing for the defense. No matter what happens here, our offense has our back. This was better than the Jets win. This is much more complimentary of a style of play for the Cowboys. Now they have to build on it. I'm from Connecticut, but as to use a metaphor, I'm from St. Louis. I'm from the show me state. The Cowboys have to show me consistently that, hey, we did this. Now we're ready to take it to practice next week, the film, break it down, and we're ready to build upon what we've done, right? Build. Because if not, if it just comes out next week and we're right back to the same things and Cortland Sutton is running free down the field and catching long touchdowns and, the Broncos are running it for 200 yards, then what's the use? What's the point? How great was this win really? But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hit me up on Twitter at JMillerIYL. That's JMiller if you like. Hit me up on knockersonthebottom at outlook.com, knockersonthebottom at gmail.com. Submit questions, any comments below. But remember, next week, Saturday, we're doing a giveaway. We're going to give away a Visa gift card. And hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. So thank you so much for tuning in. Love you guys. Until next time, I'm your host, J Mill. J Miller if you like. This has been Knockers on the Bottom. Peace.